Hello, my name is Lisa Pereira, and today I have the opportunity to present for you the internship I did for the Department of Marriage and Family at BYU, Idaho. I had the privilege to work as an advocate for women and children victimized by domestic violence. I interned for the Domestic Violence Center and Shelter of Santa Clarita, California. It was a 13-week internship where I worked about 12 hours a week for the fall semester, which went from September to December of 2014. Like I said, I'm Lisa. I am in my final semester at BYU, Idaho. In fact, I'm in my final week. I am majoring in marriage and family professional studies with a communications minor. In order for me to secure an internship at the Domestic Violence Center of Santa Clarita, I had to become certified as an advocate for the state of California. This required 40 hours of intensive training in domestic violence advocacy. This is a certification that allows me to have access to the legal files, confidential information, as well as client interaction needed in order to work with the victims and their families. At the end of this semester, I will graduate. My future plans and goals are to apply to graduate school, where I would like to become a licensed marriage and family therapist. One of the greatest blessings of this internship is that I recognized a passion I feel when I am advocating for and in behalf of families and children. Though I worked in an intensive and sad environment, it was also one of hope, healing, and redemption. I learned, grew, and felt an affirmation that I had chosen the right profession for me: advocacy. I'd like to tell you about the Domestic Violence Center of Santa Clarita, which I will refer to as DVC. DVC is a nonprofit agency with over 30 years of history. Their aim is intervention, prevention, and education. If the right intervention takes place, then education can happen that will help prevent future suffering. Domestic violence is a bigger problem than is widely understood. Approximately 3 women in this country are murdered by their husbands or boyfriends every day, and of these, most are killed within 2 weeks of leaving the batterer. 1 in 3 women report being in an abusive relationship sometime in their life. 2/3 of the residents in battered women's shelters are children, and men who are physically violent toward their partners are likely also using violence toward children as well. The rate of depression in victims of domestic violence is twice as high as the rate of depression of non-victims. Domestic violence affects families at all socioeconomic levels, all education levels, all religions, and all ethnicities. Victims are only safe if they are able to successfully leave. Counseling, crisis shelters, and transitional living, as well as employment programs, are important support systems that women and children need to escape the hold of domestic violence. The DVC provides these support systems. Their mission is to provide safety and support to victims of domestic violence while working to break the cycle of abuse. They primarily offer shelter, crisis intervention, counseling, advocacy, and activities to support increased economic opportunities for victims. They endeavor to increase community awareness about domestic violence issues and bring about societal change through education and public policy advocacy. DVC's vision is to stop domestic violence, build self-reliance, and save lives. Their philosophy says, domestic violence is about power and control. Domestic violence is not a relationship problem. A person using power and control over another is entirely responsible for his or her behavior and the outcome. Domestic violence affects all people in our society, not only the victim and the perpetrator. Domestic violence is child abuse. It is a learned behavior. It affects the whole family, and it is cyclical and intergenerational. Domestic violence feeds on silence. Core values must guide the way we work and the relationships we build. These core values are respect, empowerment, accessibility, and safety. How did I find my internship? I started my search by perusing the internet and class materials for ideas. I had taken the Family 150 class and looked at all the possible jobs in the marriage and family field. I started networking by talking to anyone I knew that could give me ideas and insights. One friend suggested I call the mental health department at my local hospital. This call led me to a person who could give me information that led me to the DVC. I was referred to a woman named Beth Jenkins, who is a social worker and department head for the psychiatric lockdown mental health unit. She did not have any internship positions, but gave me a list of about 10 people I could call, and I could use her as a reference. I called them all. It was a huge variety of places, from substance abuse, homeless shelters, elderly care, single mothers outreach, church advocacy groups, and the DVC. Linda Davies from the DVC returned my call and invited me in for an interview. Thankfully, I had constructed a beautiful resume in the family practicum class, so all I needed to do was print it out and go to the interview. I could immediately tell that this was a great place to learn. Linda was so positive and passionate, and by the end of our conversation, she offered me an internship position. I made sure to research the agency before the interview, and I dressed professionally and prayed for guidance. I had a number of responsibilities during my time interning at the DVC. I told the director, Linda, that I was wanting to learn as much as they were willing to teach. I did general administrative duties such as answering the phone and sorting through donations. This gave me a full spectrum idea of what goes on at a crisis shelter. The shelter phone line is also the hotline. You always have to be prepared to help a possible victim and direct her to the necessary resources. I did intakes and had a hand in determining potential clients. My main responsibilities were working directly with the shelter clients and their children. The director asked me to formulate curriculum for life skills classes that the clients could attend weekly. I was the instructor for these bi-weekly classes. These were group classes, and all the women in the shelter were required to take them. I developed 8 classes. They were parenting, stages of child development, health and nutrition, goal setting, time management, self-care, organization of documents, and money management and budgeting. I also did peer counseling, case management, and empathic listening sessions with the clients. Additionally, I accompanied clients to meetings they had with social workers, visitation mediators, and transitional housing interviewers. Not only did I offer my services to DVC, but I was greatly benefited as well. Some of the benefits I offered were: I have learned so many amazing principles and research-based lessons from my time at BYU, Idaho. The learning model used at this university is second to none, in my opinion. I was able to share my knowledge in university curriculum in order to create lesson plans and provide advocacy for the clients. I completed the 40-hour advocacy training to become a California certified DV advocate. With this certification, I was able to fulfill many tasks, and the files and information were accessible to me. With this information and training, I was better able to help and serve. I also came to this internship with a strong desire to learn. I have a passion for helping women and children who suffer neglect, abuse, and violence. They benefited me by giving me a chance to find that I can make a difference to these families. Every time I sat with these women, I walked away a stronger, more grateful person with a deeper desire to serve families. They understood that I was a wife and mother and offered me flexible hours and were willing to work around my schedule. This was a huge benefit for me. And finally, they offered me an internship, which I needed in order to fulfill the last requirements toward my bachelor's degree at BYU. Throughout the semester, I drew many connections between what I was doing and what I had learned in my coursework at BYU, Idaho. The most meaningful connections I made were: I got to practice communication skills such as active listening, empathy, as well as nonverbal and verbal cues. These were and are invaluable skills, and they will continue to be important personally and professionally. I got to teach the best practices in parenting. I never thought I would want to teach parenting classes until I started working with women and children who needed help to understand how to break a bad cycle of violence. All I had to do was look into the eyes of the victimized children, and I knew teaching parenting is something I will always want to be a part of. Lastly, I learned firsthand the unique dynamic of a small group of individuals who have similar struggles. I watched these women begin to heal because they were not alone in their struggles. Other women were walking their same path as well. This was amazing to witness. Would I recommend this internship? Yes, I would absolutely recommend this internship. They are always in need of volunteers and advocates, and I feel that students at BYU Idaho would not be turned down. They have so much to offer. It was an amazing experience. Should you be interested, contact Linda Davies. She is the executive director at the Domestic Violence Center of Santa Clarita. Her phone number is area code 661-259-8175. They also have a great website with a lot of information that you could visit at www.dvc-scv.com. Thank you so much.